A warm welcome to all of you. Thanks a lot for taking out time and joining us. Today we are going to discuss about twins of new age banking, and those twins are digital banking and customer experience. In fact, digital banking itself has witnessed several phases of transformation. Like if we, for example, historically we have seen internet banking, mobile banking. Now it has moved to lifestyle applications, super applications, and so on and so forth. And the transformation that has happened over the last several years, it's not just the front end, like what customer sees. There's a lot happened at the back end as well. So today we will see and we will cover some of those items, like we will talk about data analytics and its implications. We'll also talk about the hyper automation as a concept, that what exactly has changed, what exactly it has transformed digital banking and how it is impacting the customer experience. So let me welcome our panel. Thanks for joining all of you. I'll start an introduction round with William. So William is a CEO and a co-founder of a company called Culibre, and he's actively involved in data analytics field. In fact, William's company, Culibre, helps its clients to build innovative products and solutions using big data analytics on cloud, hybrid, and on-premises. William is based out of Sweden for the last several years. Welcome, William. Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you, Nitin.
Second panelist is Ritesh Verma. He's an industry veteran. He's a global head of consulting division with a company, Newgen Software. Newgen is a pioneer as far as digital automation is concerned. Ritesh has a strong technical expertise in workflow management, information management, and digital automation tools. Ritesh has also been with Newgen for last more than 23 years. And he's an avid writer, and his articles on technology and banking are published regularly in renowned magazines. So welcome, Ritesh.
Thank you, Nitin. Pleasure to be here.
And panelist number 3 is Mr. David. Now, David is a head of customer experience and platform development with National Bank of Fujairah. Now, under his leadership, National Bank of Fujairah has witnessed multiple digital transformations in the last few years, and especially in corporate banking side. Now, David is also an innovator. Like in 2002, he launched a first of its kind rechargeable prepaid card, and he has deep expertise in payments, as well as he was a co-founder and CEO of Noon Payments, which is a fintech, very popular platform for payments. So welcome, David.
Thank you, Nitin. Thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot. And I am Nitin Kanodia. I'll be moderating this webinar. I'm a engagement manager with Cedar Consulting. I mostly look after engagements around digital transformation in several regions. And I also specialize in digital strategy formulation, operating model designs, and customer journey designs. So now I will hand over the floor to William. So William is going to talk about his company Culibre, as well as some insights on data, as well as analytics and how it has changed the digital banking landscape. So over to you, William, now.
Thank you, Nitin. Okay, as you all know, a few years back, the sales and marketing was playing a major role when it comes to any sales and promoting product. But in recent time, it is changing. In recent couple of years, as consumer excellence or consumer-related focus is becoming more and more famous. The reason is boiling down everything, the customer became the key, and every company moving towards consumer excellence, data-driven decisions, and towards focusing more and more on consumers. So, yeah. So how digital banking and CX plays a major role in this area. So customer experience in banking refer to all the effort where the banking is trying to put to make the customers feel important in each and every interaction they are making. This is ultimate aim of a digital banking, right? So here, improving customer experience in banking should be the primary goal for every banking. And every bank should try towards moving their entire landscape towards digitalizing and keeping customer as centric. And the bank and financial institution need to be digitally transformed and deliver consistent banking experience, whether it's an online or retail experience, right? And which drives basically 5 to 15% of revenue growth for companies when they're moving towards consumer-centric and data-driven decisions. So here, it is very fact that almost 45% of the initiatives in recent banking industries, they are allocating towards the consumer strategies, right? So consumer strategy plays a very major role in the recent years in all the banks. So of course, consumer strategy required all the bank to be digitalized first of all, right? Without digitalization on different landscape and different touch points in the banking, it is very difficult to basically move towards a consumer centric. And what exactly customer being expecting from the banking. So it's very easy. There are 4 different major components they're expecting. One is easy accessibility. That means bank and financial institution need to provide a platform where they can able to easily access the bank our services and products. And as everyone know that there are more than 15% of the bank customers are basically mobile dominant. It's not just about mobile. There are n number of other devices and small devices they can able to connect and interact with the banking. So first and foremost, from a customer expectation is to have a easy accessibility. And second, real-time assistance. So I think it's very normal that if a customer is being disappointed more than 1 or 2 times because of a long waiting or because of some disappointed answers from the service desk or something for their problem, it's very difficult that there are high chance 1 out of 3 customers they can able to leave their the services from the bank as soon as possible. So this increase like almost like very high chance of a churn rate when it comes to the real-time assistance. So it is very important that every bank should have real-time assistance. It can be like kind of a help where they can provide through interactive chatbots and all those things, but it is really important the real-time assistance required for each and every bank that they're supposed to provide through digital services. And personalized services. So personalized services are something like customers are always behind personalization. If you're sending some offers or product to a customer where they're not interested, then of course there are high chances that they can leave the particular customer, they can leave the services itself from the bank. So it is really important the product and services should match their needs and not the bank who wanted to push their services. And the data security, it is very key, where it is one of the primary aspects the bank should follow, and it plays a major role to create loyalty and trust for a bank, right, for our customers. So based out of digital banking and the customer expectations and moving towards more and more digitalization from the banking perspective, what it creates is basically huge volume of data in across different touch points and different operational systems, right? So in this case, data plays a major role where data has become the new gold for all the banking industries, right? So the data plays a major role because each and every digitalization we make in the banking, which is helping the customers, it generates a huge volume of data in the back, where that is really need to be utilized. If you don't use this data, and then you cannot able to understand how you can able to provide a personalized offer, how you can able to retain existing customer, or how you can able to serve more better to make the customer happy, right? So here big data is basically playing a major role in terms of with the wealthy data what they have from customer incomes, expenditure, and lot other information. It can be example the social interaction, it can be example the spending patterns. All those information generated out of the banking through the digital channels are really playing a major important role, which generates even terabytes of information on a daily basis or even monthly basis. But this data need to be stored and processed, or it is, if you don't do it, then it is just some buried information which no one to use or nobody is utilizing this. So here big data plays a major role in terms of extracting, storing, transforming the raw data from its natural form, and it will helps to make a decision by building ML models or AI models. But of course, it's not AI or ML is not the ultimate goal. Before that, you can do a lot of descriptive analytics. Example, you can secure all the different data from different digital platforms or from different operational system from a bank. And there are a lot of dashboards can be built on top of it, right? That can be leveraged for multiple different business units to take decisions. But of course, there are machine learning models also can be built on top of this data, where you can able to understand or you can able to predict how it is going to be for different from different segments in different areas. Example, credit modeling, probably one of the example. Risk analysis, another example. Customer lifetime is another example. Product recommendation and segmentations, all those things are basically different examples how the data, the wealthy of data from bank generated out of the operational systems or the digital platform or from different systems can be utilized for taking better decisions. So example, credit modeling, as mentioned, if there is a borrower where you wanted to understand how accurate they probably can able to return back your debt or the money what they have borrowed. So we can able to understand those kind of model, those kind of predictions by taking their income informations, the history of loans, and then the default rates, credit rating, demographic information, social media information, utility bills, what they paid already. So with those kind of information, not just about the historical information, but pulling out those data in a real time can able to help you to take the decision. And you also can create a personalized persona where they can able to determine whether this particular customer belonging to a low or medium or high bucket categories, right? Before you even offer the loans. Similarly, customer lifetime. It need not to be a customer. It need not to be a customer means it need not to be a retail customer. It can be a corporate customer also, to understand how much of assets or how much of profit they made, and also how long they are going to stay. If there are any concerns they faced in recent times, all those things we can able to understand by building this customer lifetime models. Similarly, risk analysis and product recommendation. Product recommendation, it plays a very major role when it comes to positioning any new product in the market, right? Because if without understanding a customer, if you're trying to send some email campaigning or if you're trying to do some marketing actions, that is not going to make a major impact. And also doing this kind of product recommendation with the existing customer is basically succeeds are almost 60 to 70%, because existing customers are more tend to buy if you are offering a relevant suggestions. Important here, then the relevant suggestion is important. How do we can able to make a relevant suggestion? By understanding about them only. We cannot understand manually by going through each and every customer. There is a machine required, there is a system required, and you need to have a wealthy of data to make these kind of decisions. Couple of case studies probably I can talk about what we have done for a couple of Nordic customers. One is a propensity model. Here we are going to talk about probably one of the major banking customer in Nordic faced an issue in terms of finding the best leads where they can able to offer a product for a specific for a group of targeted customers, as well as they were trying to have a tailor-made services if they want to position it. Plus, they also want to understand how they can able to retain existing customers, right? And also the lifetime of a customer. So we have built a propensity model where it can able to help to understand. It's all 4 different unique problems. It's not like connected each. Of course, it's all connected because the data is going to be used in the same data can be used in multiple different places, but it is different problems. Example, here we were trying to help in terms of lead conversion, in terms of propensity to engage, in terms of customer lifetime value and churn rate forecasting. With this, what we did, we basically built and understood the existing data strategy, what they have, and we built a data and analytical platform for them. And we also identified the relevant sources across the bank and outside of the bank also, which is required and which helps to make the decision. And we built the pipelines required, and also we built the machine learning models, which is basically going to do this prediction of the customer's behavior and everything. And finally, this particular model can able to understand the micro segments, how they are basically their spending patterns, purchase behavior, and everything based out of those existing data sets. We could able to create a micro segments, and then we applied a logistic regression on top of it to understand whether this particular product or services the customer can able to buy or not. by comparing the other customer who already bought the services. So it's basically example, I'm comparing with the other person where based on the same pattern, the same spending patterns, same behavior when they're buying. So based on that, we could able to take a decision by using a causal inferences. So which gives almost 90% of the accuracy that we can able to clearly target a segmented customers, right? Or clearly we can able to segment these are the customer, probably potentially they can leave our banking or our services because of bad experience in their previous history, right? So this we can able to predict. We have predicted, which is almost 90% accurate on this particular propensity model. All 4 different problems we have worked on. Of course, it increased the conversion rate, and then it also reduced cost, as well as it increased more on targeting towards personalized product offering, which with the help of this propensity score. And also we could able to do a customer segmentation with where we can able to clearly understand who are all the potential customer who can able to get churned, right? This is one. Second is basically kind of a sentiment analysis where we have worked on. Which is really important because it's not just about selling the product. After that, there are many different places the customer will come back to the bank, and it is not even directly to the bank. Probably they will call, they will make in those places, the customer service center is the first entry point for them to either to get satisfied or to get disappointed. So it is really important to understand how the customer sentiment is working when in each and every interaction. Here we cannot go and manually monitor. So what is really important is the machines or machine learning model where we can able to pull all the IVR system information, which is from Genesis or any other system, plus the survey information where we are trying to get all the feedback of a customer. And here we have done basically NLP machine learning algorithm, which is helpful for the bank, to understand how a customer feels about the services they are getting, right? Here it is very important that 1 out of 3 customer, I have already said 1 out of 3 customer will leave if they're not feeling happy about their services. So it is really important. So here it is similar. We have built the data pipelines towards the big data platform, and we have started working on the machine learning algorithm with the various algorithms and come up with a conclusion where how much of the customer feels happy, how many of the customer not feeling happy, who are all those customers, then making them happy by sending probably a specialized campaign promotion offer to identify and send a survey or to have a personalized call to send them. All those things can able to happen by understanding the customer compliance. So this is again important where we have worked on and which provide a real meaning by with the help of IVR and your survey data. Of course, it required all other CRM and ERP data, but it is important that IVR and survey data plays a major role here. Of course, again, as mentioned, it increases the churn rate, it decreases the churn rate, and it also increases the revenue because customer is the key for everything. Without we understand their compliance and their problem they face, they're more likely they can leave the bank. And there are not only those use cases, there are many accelerator we have built for other customers. Example, it can be modernizing risk management, or it can be personalization, or it can be a credit card fraud deduction based on the geographical where they are trying to use and utilize, and transaction enrichments, cybersecurity related use cases, segmentations, recommendations, customer lifetime. It can be a retail or corporate lifetime. And even we have built in terms of cash liquidity positions, accessing bank consolidations, across bank consolidation of all the accounts and all those kind of use cases with the help of the real-time data and all those things. Maybe coming back to who we are basically a data and analytics company. We have worked with many different industries across different regions. And we are basically in partnership with the CEDAR and IBS Lab, as well as Databricks, which is a data analytics AI company who offer the services on the AI landscape. And we are also partnership with basically Swedish AI landscape. We have done a lot of migration from on-premises towards the cloud, as well as we have processed trillions of IoT messages in real time. And we have processed even exabyte of amount of data in our throughout the journey. This is who we are. And what kind of services we offer is basically purely on data analytics to start with, data advisory in terms of advisory on the strategy, platform building, governance, and to work on IoT and streaming related use cases and to set up those services. And visualization in terms of example, Click or Power BI or what Tableau, whatever MicroStrategy or whatever those kind of visualization. And engineering, it means importantly to understand the key sources available across your digital banking or across your banking landscape, where we can able to build to secure the data into the platform. And data science, where we can able to build the machine learning model or the AI models, and application support, where we can take care of end-to-end engineering pipelines. I think thanks. I think it's I ran it very fast, but please you can raise it question in the question box or in the next discussion. Thanks, Nadine.
Thank you so much, William. I think very insightful presentation. It gives a very different perspective about digital banking. Basically, that it's not only about front channels, that you can make a jazzy front channel, but if it is not backed by a data analytics, then what we can achieve is limited, right? We can have a jazzy screen, but if it doesn't serve the purpose, it's of no use. So I think you brought in a very good point. And on this, William, I have a question for you. I want to know, we are trying to solve a problem of banks in a way, right? So what are the key customer expectations as far as an analytics company is concerned? Like, what do you believe that are the key customer expectations, and how can analytics fulfill these expectations?
Yeah, say example, the expectation, a couple of expectation I can talk about. It may not be a machine learning expectation, normal expectation, because first of all, we need to understand the difference between the traditional data warehousing and the big data. Right? Data warehousing is a machine or a box where it does not have horizontally or vertically scalable architecture, where you cannot start spinning immediately 10 more machines, or you wanted to add example terabyte of data storage. It's not possible. Here, so data warehousing is kind of a previous generation. Of course, now there are modern data warehouse comes on the cloud and all those things. But the expectation, if example customer says you need to have a customer consumer 360 view, right? It's maybe very easy question from from a banking perspective or from a stakeholder standpoint. But it is in the behind the skin, it involves a lot of information, right? Customer 360 you cannot do until otherwise you have the proper information flowing in the operational system, right? Example, there should be a proper CRM, there should be a proper ERP system, there should be proper card management system, and all these things has to be connected together each other, in which we can able to pump those information to the big data platform. And big data platform I'm talking about, example, it can be on the cloud or it can be on premises, but it is horizontally and vertically it can be scaled. So with this, basically, the customer expectation may be very simple, but when it comes to implementation, then we will face all the problems when it comes to the digitalization strategy, how much they are mature when it comes to improving their operational systems, right? If they have not improved an operational system and they are still behind with the 10 years back on some sort of some legacy system, it is very complex for us to solve it in the data and analytics landscape. So it's not just about modernizing data and analytics landscape or their data warehousing system. It's also important that they need to understand, they need to basically improve their operational system from legacy system towards latest information, where they can able to provide the information via API, via the real-time interfaces. Then it's very easy for us, where we can able to build these kind of end-to-end landscape, and we can apply on top of it, we can able to apply machine learning. The first thing foremost is to build the platform and build all the data asserts towards the platform. For that, digital strategy and the focus has to change towards the consumer experience.
Okay, thanks, William. So let us hear from a bank as well. Like David, what are your views on this one?
Nitin, thank you for the question, because for us, the customer expectation is a really important point. Is the starting point from that everything is starting. The point is that understanding the customer expectation, and specifically from a bank perspective, is a challenge. Not just a challenge because all the banks are starting to the digital transformation. I actually started years ago. Try to realign their front end to be as much as they can smooth and very streamlined in the process. But we are competing, the expectation is competing with also non-banking services. So the people are expecting to have very expedite and responsive feedback from the bank in a touch, right? In just 1-2 steps. So the challenge for the bank is very important. But a part of that, about how you can create the process, one of the challenges that we are facing, still the bank are facing, is using the data. Is using the data that all the corporate has for understanding how your user is behaving with your digital services. And I know that there are research in the market that talks about the 80% of the corporate actually say that 80% of the data, they're still untouched because it is unstructured. I'm glad to hear from Kurebre that we have method already in the market to reorganize and understanding from this kind of data and create and try to streamline the process for creating much more better experience.
Okay, thanks a lot, David, for the insights. Now we have understood one part, that is data and analytics. How does it contribute? How we can enhance it? How we can enhance our digital banking offerings using data and analytics, plus a customer experience enhancement. Now there's another angle towards all this new age banking, which is also automation. So over to you, Ritesh. Just let us know about hyper automation as a concept, and let us know how it has led to improve the digital banking and customer experience. Over to you, Ritesh. Ritesh, you need to, I think, unmute, please. Yes, please. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Nitin, and thanks for this. I was speaking on mute. So if you look at it, hyper automation against the traditional belief is not about RPA in any way. It's just another, RPA is just another tool in the overall tool set in order to hyper automate it. Well, the overall principle is towards digital transformation. Now, digital transformation has been around for banks and one of the key agendas for them. And if you look at it over time, they've invested into something like a portal, a mobility device. As you were saying earlier, devising a simple portal doesn't make you digital. If you look at it, we've integrated social media as well, social channels as well. You've gone to the cloud. You've deployed a bunch of analytics software. So if you look at it, we've had self-service kiosks, which have been there for ages now. There are chatbots which are there, and probably there are also some amount of virtual reality. The banks have done all of this if you look at it. But at the end of the day, does it actually make the bank digital? Does it actually transform the bank? Now let's look at the overall thing. All of the banks are working towards experiences. No other than amongst all of us, but David can appreciate it, that at the end of the day, we are all working for experiences. Let's look at a typical scenario. All of these are actual real life scenarios for all of my clients. Let's look at a Sarah who is basically high-end earning millennial. Now she is a fidgety character, as we all know the millennials are, with no offense to them. So they don't kind of sit at a single place while doing anything. So she starts filling up an application on the mobile, gets distracted, doesn't have all the documents in, switches to something else, and by that time she is simply abandoned. The journey gets abandoned. Let's look at lending. David, CEO of a large retail company. Now for no reason, his loan gets rejected without letting him know as to what the reason was. So this actually gets people very aggravated, and they probably end other relationships with you. Real life example, trust me. Zara is a reputed popular doctor, submitted her identity proof on video, the VKYC, which is supposed to be a great tool during COVID, has its own privacy concerns, and probably she's not happy with it. Now, going digital is not digital transformation. Let's all remember that. It's not digital transformation. At the end of the day, it's about enabling digital on. So if you look at the work done by majority of the banks today is about enabling digital onboarding. It's not even moved towards the customer service at the end of the day. And that's where the entire journey ends. And it's into a big soup at the moment. If we look at it, it's not just the consumers who are worried. It's also the people who are working on the system are equally worried. Let's look at Omar, a highly qualified loan officer, feels overworked and still doesn't kind of works on the age-old ways of doing things, doesn't get any help from those. Let's look at the partners. The cafe restaurant Jacob owner just ended a promotion contract with the bank because he could not work out on joint publicity or joint getting into the to the field with the bank. So if you look at it, what Forrester research shows is that business processes span organizational structure and legacy technology investments that hinder end-to-end automation. Now, at the end of the day, this is a problem with the bank, with the business that you're running. It's not a problem with the customer. So customers don't care about all of this. They just want something which is seamless, efficient, transparent, and visible to them at the end of the day. So let's look at why such a thing arises. It's mainly because that traditionally the financial institutions are divided into process silos. If you look at it, deposits, credit, trade, lending would have its own set of issues. They are all working in silos. It's not just the processes which are siloed, it's also the technology which is siloed. If you look at it, each of the thing would be working towards its own set of things for doing an onboarding. A retail onboarding would be very different from the way that you do a corporate onboarding, or probably how you handle payments. There'd be different mobile apps, different interfaces, different backend processes which are not integrated together. So it's all working in silos. What it results into is a broken experience at the end of the day. What we are working towards is that banks need to understand that online is old news, and so is the concept of mobile first. What we need today is the concept of digital acceleration. It's not about working on a transformation from a caterpillar to a butterfly. Acceleration is not into a faster caterpillar. It's about the rate of transformation from a caterpillar to a butterfly. How do you make it instantaneous rather than waiting for the natural cycle to occur? So if you look at it, how can you accelerate digital? Is to provide multi-channel frictionless customer experience. Most of the banks have worked towards this. What they've forgotten is to transition seamlessly from the front end to the back end or the operations. The operational excellence is equally critical for making it happen. While you're doing both of these, business today has changed. The way that you do business has changed. So business innovation becomes a continuous process, and it feeds back into the operational excellence and customer experience in order to make it efficient. So if you look at it, digital acceleration is an amalgamation of customer experience, operational efficiency, and business innovation, all coming in together. So hyper automation is all about this. How can you bring business innovation, customer experience, and operational excellence working in tandem? If we look at it, hyper automation is a business-driven, disciplined approach that organizations use to rapidly identify, vet, and automate as many business and IT processes as possible. That's what Gartner says. So it's all about identifying which processes, vetting them or reaching a consensus about them, and automating as many or organization-wide on a single platform. So enterprise-wide is the name of the game for doing hyper-automation. What Gartner also says is by 2024, the diffused approach to hyper-automation or the siloed approach to hyper-automation would increase the overall cost of ownership by 40-fold, which is a big issue in today's times. What we need to do is build on data science, app development, AI, automation, content and communication, and integration platforms all together in order to kind of enable that enterprise-wide rollout to happen in a strategic way. So customer experience, operational efficiency, and business innovation, as I said, have different dimensions to it. Customer experience is about personalized experience, anytime, anywhere, holistic, contextual. Innovation is about knowledge worker enablement, strategic agility, and things like that. All of these need to come in together in order to make that acceleration possible. So, and it's just like the Hyperloop. So hyper automation in true sense is continuously evolving. The business is continuously innovating along with technology into a Hyperloop, which is feeding back into the customer experience and operational experience layer. So what the mantra for today is start small, build as you go, expand on what you build faster as you go. So build, innovate, and then redeploy in order to kind of make it happen. It's like a Lego block as to how you go about handling things. So it's not about doing away with your existing investments. It's about adding tools and apps and orchestrating it together to give you that acceleration which is required today. It's about rethinking processes along the value chain, removing frictions and duplications that are there in order to make it happen at an end-to-end level. So it's about putting the Lego blocks together into the different silos that you have in order to bring it all together for customer experience and operational efficiency, and then continuously innovating these silos in order to make it further much more rich. Finally, what you get is an end-to-end automated organization for comprehensive digital journeys with the customer. And ultimately an enterprise-wide application or building it as together as a Lego block would give you that acceleration that the enterprise requires. At the end of the day, once you kind of give Sarah the end-to-end handling of the broken journeys, she is happy. David is happy if you tell him why the loan is not approved or probably how can the loan be approved. He gets happy, gets more people to join him. If you tell Zara that your data which is there is secure, you make her happy. Omar, build analytics into the underwriting platforms and give him that decision assistance in order to make things happy for him. He gets happy. And finally, Jacob is happy with the partner experience and everything. So at the end of the day, everyone gets happy, which is what hyper automation is all about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ritesh. I think it is very interesting to see automation with a completely different perspective. Especially, we really like the way hyper automation has been used here, and it's not just like usually we think that let's transform one part of the puzzle or let's do something with one part of the bank, right? Like that's how it is. Mostly people try to do piece by piece. They will find to do transformation initiatives and then they will achieve it in next 5 years or so. But here what you have pointed out is that it is enterprise wide hyper automation. So now, since enterprise wide word is very critical here, so in your view, Ritesh, so if a bank wants to pursue this hyper automation, then what areas they should focus first?
Thanks, Nitin. I think that's a very valid question that banks often ask me. It depends on the business that they're trying to adopt. So what, if you look at an enterprise wide, they can take up retail deposit, retail assets, probably pick up certain non-business centric areas as well, like account payables or HR automation, do them in silos, however, keeping the bigger picture in mind. Once these have been achieved, small benefits or small wins have been achieved, start kind of threading them together. It's like building a spider web. start with the outer peripherals and start connecting the peripherals all together in order to kind of give you that agility and the strength that the spider web ideally has. So at the end of the day, what would happen is that your governance layer would get handled. And when the governance layer gets handled, the visibility gets there. And at the end of it, once the customer experience, operational excellence at an enterprise level gets handled, your bank is not seen as a silo giving different experiences across different channels for different products. It's unified together onto a single platform, and you can actually then go about innovating your products in order to make things happen for you. Okay. So in a nutshell, you need to look at different organizations within the bank, automate them, and then thread them together to give you that end-to-end benefit.
Okay, very interesting, Ritesh. So, David, from a bank's perspective, like customer experience, as Ritesh says, that it can be transformed using hyper automation. So, what will be your views? Like, what areas you would like to focus first, David, if you are in this hyper automation journey?
Look, Nitin and everyone, if you look, which are the most challenging moment when you are interacting with banks in general, usually you can list moment like KYC, moment like requesting a loan, moment like maybe make a transaction to a new recipient that you never use it. All this kind of moment is stressing a bit the banks, because the bank is trying to collect as much more information as they get for justifying and for having a kind of level of risk of what the customer is trying to do. And the upper automation, in a way, like RPA, like other kind of approach, is something that can allow the banks to automate some kind of data collection that not just part of that kind of specific transaction, but could be part of any kind of similar transaction like that one, that can improve the risk rate perception from the bank in the specific kind of transaction. So the upper automation, for example, in our case in NBF, we created a strong business process management layer, a BPM layer, that is allow us to contain and create all the business logic of all the moments in the touch point for the customer. Applying upper automation there means not just collecting the data, but automate and streamline the process and getting much more streamlined response to the customer. In a KYC, in onboarding, in a KYC, is really vital that we are providing the status of the request, but for any kind of transaction, to the customer, to let him to understand where is the request and which are the next steps in completing the specific request. And to do that, you need to have the upper automation is allow you also to give you much more data around a kind of similar transaction that can improve the knowledge and the information in that specific kind of transaction.
Okay, understood, David. Thanks a lot for the insights. So now we have discussed a bit on the data and analytics. We have discussed about hyper automation. Now let us bring in big data into perspective. Now, William in the beginning highlighted that data is a new gold. Now it is a focus area for everyone. And there are several activities that before we do any data initiative that banks should perform, like for example, data cleansing, data enrichment. Before we do any sort of a data transformation or before we devise a data strategy, it is always better to start cleaning up whatever we have. So David, in your experience, like how do we use big data to transform a customer experience?
Look, for us, big data has a concept that is overcoming the problem, the issue that Ritesh before mentioned, the silos kind of applications with the silos kind of database, local database that you can see you'll be able, if you try to see to try to elevate a bit yourself on your data center, you should be able to see the big picture of all the lens of your data. Okay.
Yeah.
The problem that not just for the bank, but for all the big companies is to try to have a complete understanding of data of the specific customer, because the customer, when he's interacting with you, is going through different kind of application, leaving data in each kind of application. The challenge is to try to get a big picture for that kind of specific customer in his little part of the journey. That means understanding the data on each single part of the application. So that is the challenge. I mean, structuring also the information as much as we can for understanding the data. So the big data for us is for NBF in particular is reorganizing the data within the application, having a kind of process and government in terms of process of the data that allow us to reach that kind of stage of agility in retrieving the data when we need specifically in a specific part of the transaction for the customer. Again, for us, it's important not just for an internal perspective, but also for external, because as more in the future, we will collaborate between platform, external platform. That means that the same customer will interact with different external platform, making similar transaction. So the external platform will require us information about the customer for different kind of part of transaction. We need to be ready to be open enough to exchange also data with external parties, with external platform, for satisfying the expectation of the customer. That's what the customer is expecting now.
Yes, yes. William, what is your thought on this?
It is, I agree with David. As David mentioned, 80% of the data is untouched, right? Because various reasons, it can be unstructured, or the operational system may not be able to provide the data, or maybe volume is very huge. But all these problems can be solved if there is a big data platform in the industry, right, in the banking. So all the data, as whatever David mentioned, the silos need to be pushed towards the big data platform. Then we can able to stitch together to understand and to get answer to different purpose. Right? It can be example, you want to understand how a customer is doing from product awareness until to the post sale, what they are doing, how their journey is. So we can able to stitch all the operation, all the systems. It can start with your example, social media interaction. It can start with your campaigning related information, CRM system, how they are doing in the ERP system, the transactions and all those things. So we can stitch together everything. And this can be visualized as a normal dashboard, which is a descriptive, or this can be used to feed into the machine learning algorithm, where you can create segments, and that segments can be fed as an input to the campaigning system through APIs. Like as David mentioned, this data can be fed into the internal system like campaigning management or CRM system for a kind of a feedback loop, right? You get the data from the operation system, do whatever you need to do in the big data platform. The same output can be fed back into the operational system back again for taking a better decision and to position a customer. Sorry.
That means William and Nitin, sorry for interrupting, but it doesn't mean to make a melting pot in a single database of all the data. It means leaving the application atomically managing their own data, but connect the data between them, tagging the data, the transaction, what is happening on behalf of the customer, so that when you're retrieving the data on behalf of the kind of customer, you know the trace that is kind of the action of the customer is doing in your data lake.
Correct.
It is a different way in which you are memorizing the data, and different way in which you are reading the data. That is not just putting all the data in a melting kind of place. No, it's a different way to tracing the data and reading the data.
Correct. And you can able to slice and dice in different dimensionals, right? That's where the beauty comes in. If you're working on silos, they don't know what is happening on the other systems. And even if you could try to stitch it together in the data warehousing, you can't handle unstructured data. You can't handle video, audio, the KYC information, which is coming in PDF. So all those things, you can't handle it, right? Just to give an example, I was talking about the compliance data, which is an example agent and a customer is talking over the phone. There is an audio message is being recorded in the Genesis platform or any of the other platform. This cannot be able to understand by a sales representative or somebody manager level to see if they have interacted properly, if they have used any abusive words. You can't able to understand, but the machine learning can able to do it. They can able to understand the sentiment of a customer. They felt happy or they got disappointed. So all those things we can able to understand, and immediately the survey also can be sent to the individual customer about their feeling, their CSAT score, and all those things, so that it's very easy. You can able to plan your end-to-end journey, and you can able to keep it in control what you wanted to do for each and every consumer you have.
But look, yeah. William, sorry, again, I think that also Ritesh will agree with me. The challenge, because it seems that this is the panacea of all the problem issues of the companies. The challenge is really introduce the right algorithm, structuring the data. That is the main challenge, because we have a lot of algorithms that are able to retrieve the data and applying a right algorithm to give you the right recommendation, the right prediction, and whatever. The challenge is to try to structure the data as best as you can, so that the algorithm, when you apply the algorithm, when you are teaching the machine to give you the right answer, will read correctly the data. But the challenge is before.
Yeah, correct.
We have a lot of data. We are not able to structure correctly and to let the algorithm to read. So that is the main challenge.
Correct. I think I'm talking about the end goal, but before that, there are a lot of challenges.
Yes.
David mentioned there are n number of data quality issue you can able to find when you're bringing in CRM data, right? When you're bringing in ERP, you don't know how to connect each other. The granularity may vary. So because first of all, we're talking about building a platform you can able to secure the structured and unstructured data. Then you're talking about bringing the disparate systems into the platform. Then you're talking about cleansing qualities, transformations, joining, building a models, a data model where it can able to interact, and you can first of all you can reach the descriptive analytics where you can build dashboard. Then only your advanced analytics comes into picture. So it's not easy that any bank today they can decide, okay, let's build some machine learning model. No, you need to have whatever David said, platform capabilities. Before that, the strategy, what even Ritesh was talking, the hyper automation or the data strategy, business strategy, moving towards a consumer-centric, then digitalize it, then bring the disparate data sets, then stitch it together, and then do all the quality checks, make sure everything looks good. Then you can move towards machine learning. So that's how the journey should be. It's a long journey, but of course, if any bank achieves, then it is really great that they can able to explore and they can able to accelerate their growth actually. Of course, it's very easy if a bank is starting in recent years, completely digitalized bank, right? Example, there are banks now coming up where completely digitalized. For them, probably it is easy, but they can connect operational system together. But if a bank started their journey long back, it is, and they are stuck or they are still with the legacy system, it takes time to transform and make sure they can clean up the whole thing. Yeah, that's my view.
Thanks, William. Thanks, William. So, William, we will move to Ritesh now. Ritesh, in your view, how hyper automation can actually help achieve a differentiated customer experience? Now, we saw that in the loop that customer experience is one of the elements in hyper automation. So, how do you see that?
Let me give you a real life example of how I think hyper automation can actually make sense. Now, one of the companies was automating an account opening process for a major bank in Africa. And they celebrated it a lot by saying that, look, we can open an account in 5 minutes. Which was very nice. It was really celebrated in the industry, and 5 minutes was a game changer and things like that. Everything was fine. One fine day, a lady opened an account, and just after opening an account, she wanted to withdraw some money. she was left high and dry. So it's all customer experience of 5 minutes was brilliant, right? However, the process was not complete. So which meant that while on the front of it, you open an account, but the KYC probably hasn't been done, due to which the transactions can't happen. So at the end of the day, the completeness of the process is missing. Hyper automation is all about completeness. It's about transforming the way the customer experience moves from the front end to the operations in order to complete a process. Let me also give you another example of this completeness in itself. I'll not name the bank in Singapore, but one of the big 5 banks made a fabulous portal for onboarding a customer for a credit card. Now, the credit card experience was such that you just give your ID card, your credit card, your ID card which was there was automatically read. You did not need to fill up any form or anything like that. It was validated, approved, and it took 3 days to give you a credit card at your home. The competition in Singapore did all of this and also promised to deliver the credit card the same day. So one delivered the credit card the same day. The other said that if you come and collect your credit card, you can take it the same day. If I need to courier it across, it will be there the first thing in the morning tomorrow. Next day. Look at it. However, the way the processing was done in the back end was that this file, which was generated out of a fancy portal, used to get dumped into an Excel sheet.
Oh.
And from there onward, someone used to manually underwrite the application, set the credit limit, this, that, and get it approved. So again, customer experience, fabulous from a portal perspective. End of the day, does it kind of feed back into operations? No. So it just misses the bus. Third example about business innovation is a few days back in India, branch automation or agent automation for account opening was big. In fact, ICICI Bank launched a video with Mr. Amitabh Bachchan flying a kite, and the account gets opened in the back end. So probably that was a fabulous model at that point of time. However, during COVID, no one was allowed to enter the house. So what happens to the entire experience? It just fails. So if you look at it, comprehensiveness, business innovation, applying analytics to make things happen or predictive ways is something that hyperautomation actually makes you do in order to kind of build things up and take it to the next level.
Definitely. Thanks a lot, Ritesh, for that answer. And David, now I understand that banks always, like internally, like if you drive any customer experience initiatives, there are always challenges, or it's very difficult to convince stakeholders. So in your view, what is the right way, like as a head of customer experience, if I need to drive my agenda within the bank that this is really important, how would you go about convincing those multiple stakeholders?
First of all, Nitin, I think we applied, we are aware of one fact, that the customer expectation are not fixed, but are very quickly, are varying very quickly. That means that the expectation from last year are different from this year, and this year will be different, the one that in the future. That means, starting from this kind of fact, you need to create an awareness inside the organization that you have to measure the expectation dynamically. I'm not saying real time, but sort of. You need to structure your internal process to understand, to ask to your customer what they are thinking about you multiple times. And I'm not saying, again, real time, because ideally, it's like William says, that having a dashboard that in real time is telling you what today are thinking your customer. with a big traffic light, red, yellow, and green, right? Ideally, you should have something like that. But you know that as much as you are poking and understanding from the customer is not so always good. I mean, sometimes you can ask, but the other time, okay, it's like having the smiley every time that you're interacting with the user interface. It's not good.
Yes,
so
yes.
you need to create a process that in one way give you the sense of a dynamic, measure the rate of the expectation of your customer in that moment. Okay. The other part is the implementation. When you start to know that the expectation for some reason is starting to not be of your customer, not be at the level of your rate, for example, 1 to 5, maybe it's 2, and you're expecting that it's 4. How you are agile enough to adapt the entire organization in responding quickly, not just on one specific segment of your customer, but all your customer, because maybe your dashboard give you all, your retail as today as 4, your corporate today as 3, your SME today as 3, as 2. How you react? Because guys, the organization nowadays need to live in that kind of situation, dynamic market, in which you need to change in a snap. So you need to create an organization and internal processes to react very quickly and be very agile and adapting not just the entire response to your customer, but the entire journey as Hitesh told us, with automating enough. Also the mindset, the culture of the people. We are talking about bank, guys. We aren't talking about fintechs or whatever. We're talking about a traditional mindset. We need to understand that the internal processes are made and are coming from a mindset of a traditional bank. So not like a digital bank. So we need to change the entire internal processes, having a different mindset and of customer serving. It's not easy, but this is the way. And the way in which we are convincing stakeholder is starting to show the rate of the expectation of your customer. Organizing some kind of process, front-end process that are starting to collect feedback from the customer and showing directly from them the feedback from the customer. Yeah. This is something that give you the sense of urgency of how you should react quickly.
Thanks a lot, David. I think that's very well explained, that it's not something very static. It's always changing. It's dynamic. So one has to react fast. So very well said. And I would like to thank all of you for your time, and also thank William. You had answered some of the questions from the audience, which were in the question and answer sessions. Thank you so much. And thanks a lot, audience, for participating and sparing your time with us. Thank you so much. See you next time.